Hello my dear fishing friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the fishing forecast for a very interesting week in Ireland, from Monday the 22nd of September to Sunday the 28th of September 2025. This week is shaping up to be quite a unique one for our Irish waters, with conditions that will certainly challenge us, but also present some incredible opportunities if we know where to look and what to do. Get ready to uncover some surprising insights and practical tips that will help you land that dream catch, even with the cooler, more settled weather on the horizon. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single detail. This period, friends, marks a clear transition into autumn, and with it, a shift in fish behavior that we absolutely need to understand. The Met-Éireann forecast hints at some calmer yet cooler conditions, which could mean a real feast or famine scenario depending on your approach. Now let's talk about our main targets for the week, those fantastic species that call Ireland home. Based on my experience and what we're seeing in the data for this time of year, we'll focus on three of Ireland's most sought-after freshwater predators: pike, perch, and brown trout. First up, the mighty pike. As the water temperatures begin their autumnal decline, pike become incredibly active, fattening up before winter. This week, with temperatures likely to be lower than normal for September, these toothy critters will be on the hunt. Where to find them? Look for pike on the edges of deeper drop-offs, especially near weed beds that are starting to thin out, or around submerged structures like old trees and reeds. They'll also patrol shallow bays during midday when the sun has had a chance to warm the water slightly. The slightly drier and more settled conditions predicted mean less water flow in some areas, which might concentrate baitfish, and thus pike, in specific ambush points. What to use? For pike, friends, spinning with medium to large lures is key. Think wobblers in natural baitfish colors or bright, aggressive patterns if the water is a bit murky. Soft plastics like paddle tail shads or jerkbaits, retrieved slowly along the bottom or near cover, can also be deadly. My little trick? Experiment with the retrieve speed. Sometimes a slow, almost dead stick retrieve can trigger a bite when nothing else works. Don't forget a strong wire trace, essential for their sharp teeth. Next, let's talk about the ever-present perch. So these striped warriors are fantastic fun, and late September is prime time for them. They'll be forming larger shoals and feeding aggressively. Where to find them? Perch love structure. Look for them around underwater snags, jetties, bridge pylons, and deep weed lines in lakes and canals. They also congregate in slower stretches of rivers. With the high-pressure system bringing settled conditions, these shoals might be less scattered. What to use? Light spinning gear with small jigs, micro spoons, or tiny crankbaits are perfect for perch. Worms on a float rig or a small ledger setup are also incredibly effective. For bait, a wriggling worm or a maggot combination can be irresistible. Try to locate the schools using a fish finder or by observing other anglers. Once you find one, you'll often find many. A small waggler float with a few maggots or a piece of worm fished just off the bottom in clear water can be incredibly productive. Finally, our beautiful brown trout. While the main summer activity might be winding down, this period offers excellent opportunities for those chasing larger pre-spawning fish in rivers and loughs. Where to find them? In rivers, look for trout in deeper pools, undercut banks, and around gravel runs where they might be preparing for spawning. In loughs, they'll be moving closer to shore, especially during periods of low light, feeding on insects or smaller fish. The cooler air temperatures will translate to cooler water, making them less lethargic than in high summer. What to use? For river trout, fly fishing with nymphs and streamers can be very productive. If spinning, small minnow-imitating lures or MEP-style spinners are excellent choices. For lough fishing, traditional wet flies or dabblers can work well, especially if there's any surface activity. A subtle presentation is key. These autumn trout can be wary. On a clear, still day, a dry fly hatch might still surprise you, so always have a few patterns ready. All right, friends, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the conditions analysis. For this week, understanding these factors is what separates a lucky catch from a consistent one. Weather. The overall picture for September 22nd to 28th is a settled one, influenced by high pressure. We're looking at generally drier conditions than the typical September in Ireland, which usually sees over 20 rainy days. Temperatures are expected to be lower than normal for this time of year, with averages possibly around 14.9 degrees Celsius, significantly cooler as the month progresses. What does this mean for our finned friends? High pressure often brings stability, which can be good, but combined with falling temperatures, it can make fish a bit more lethargic or push them into deeper, more stable water. The wind will be a critical factor. Even a light breeze can ripple the surface, providing cover for predators and disturbing insect hatches. The days will continue to shorten noticeably, affecting feeding windows. Water temperature. In late September, water temperatures across Ireland's lakes and coastal areas will be steadily dropping. Sea temperatures average between 14.4 and 15.6 degrees Celsius, and freshwater bodies will follow a similar trend or even drop lower, especially in shallower areas. This cooling trend is a signal for many fish species to actively feed in preparation for winter. Predatory fish like pike and perch become more energetic, while some trout species might feel the urge to feed aggressively before their spawning season. However, a rapid drop could also shock fish, making them less inclined to bite. Stable, cool temperatures are usually best. Moon phase. This week brings us a significant lunar event, the new moon. On Monday, the 22nd of September, at 1:24 a.m. For the rest of the week, we'll be in the Waxing Crescent phase, meaning the moon's illumination will be very low, starting at just 1%. Many anglers swear by the moon's influence, and while scientific evidence varies, the folklore suggests that fishing can be excellent during a new moon, as the darker nights mean less light penetration into the water, potentially making fish bolder during the day. As the moon waxes, some believe activity gradually increases. It's a time when predatory fish might use the low light to their advantage, becoming more active. General activity of fish. Late September in Ireland is a fascinating time. We're transitioning fully into autumn. Pike, perch, and trout are generally abundant in Irish waters. As the water cools, the metabolism of cold-blooded fish slows, but they also feel the need to feed more intensely to build up reserves for winter. This means periods of aggressive feeding, often referred to as a feeding frenzy or jaw. However, abrupt changes in weather, like a sudden cold snap or a sharp rise in atmospheric pressure, can make them incredibly finicky. This week's predicted settled, drier, and cooler than normal conditions, coupled with the new moon, point towards potentially active mornings and evenings with midday fishing, possibly slower if the sun is bright and the water is clear. Now for the most anticipated part, my daily fishing forecast for the week based on all these factors. Remember, this is my best estimate, but fish are wild creatures full of surprises. Monday, September 22nd. We kick off the week with a new moon. The forecast suggests a cooler day with daytime highs around 12 degrees Celsius and lows around 5 degrees Celsius and 2 millimeters of patchy rain. The new moon typically means low light, which can spur predatory fish into action. However, the cooler temperatures and slight rain might keep some fish deeper. I'd rate the clearness as good to moderate. Focus on pike and perch in sheltered, deeper spots during the day, and be ready for a strong morning bite. Tuesday, September 23rd. Another cool day with highs around 14 degrees Celsius and lows around 3 degrees Celsius, and only 0.8 millimeters of rain expected. The waxing crescent moon will still be very dark. Fish might still be settling into the cooler conditions. I predict moderate clearness. Try targeting perch in shoals near submerged structures. Brown trout might be more active in rivers, especially in slower currents. Wednesday, September 24th. A drier day with 0 millimeters of rain and temperatures similar to Tuesday. highs around 14 degrees Celsius and lows around 5 degrees Celsius. The high pressure should be firmly in place. This stability can be a good thing. Clearness, you'll too good to be all. This could be a productive day for all three species, especially during the mid-morning and late afternoon. Look for pike in slightly shallower, sun-warmed areas. Thursday, September 25th. Continues the trend of dry and stable weather with 0 millimeters of rain and highs around 14 degrees Celsius, lows around 6 degrees Celsius. Conditions are settling nicely and fish should be acclimatizing. I'm going with a good clearness rating. Don't be afraid to try different depths for perch and pike. Trout in rivers might be more willing to chase lures or flies. Friday, September 26th. Another dry day, 0 millimeters of rain, and temperatures holding steady at around 14 degrees Celsius during the day and 6 degrees Celsius at night. This consistent weather pattern should be beneficial. Clearness? Good, Keats, and this could be one of the best days of the week. Focus on active presentations for pike and perch, covering water to find feeding fish. Trout could be very responsive in rivers. Saturday, September 27th. The temperatures start to nudge up slightly, reaching 15 degrees Celsius during the day and 7 degrees Celsius at night with no rain. This slight warming could increase fish activity even further. Clearness? Excellent. With the weekend here and stable conditions, expect some great fishing, especially for predators. Try targeting deeper lake areas for big pike and perch. Sunday, September 28th. The week closes with the warmest day, hitting 17 degrees Celsius during the day and 7 degrees Celsius at night, still with no rain. The waxing crescent moon will be growing, building towards the first quarter in the coming days. Clearness? Excellent. This is your chance for a strong finish to the week. Take advantage of the pleasant conditions and active fish. Try a variety of lures and baits, and don't forget to explore new spots. So there you have it, my friends. A detailed look at what we can expect on the waters of Ireland this week. I wish you all tight lines and bent rods. May your lines be tangle-free and your coolers full. Ní net go curle chéile. That's no strength without unity, a perfect Irish saying for us anglers. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, smash that like button if you found this forecast helpful, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. And tell me in the comments below, what are your plans for fishing this week? What species are you targeting? And what's your go-to bait or lure for late September in Ireland? Share your wisdom, friends, tight lines, and I'll see you on the next one.